And now the chair recognizes the ranking member, Senator Heinrich.
Thank you, Chairman. The National Historic Preservation Act says something very simple. Before we build something, we should know if there's an important piece of our nation's history or culture in the area that we're planning to build. And if there is, we should try to figure out if we can avoid damaging it. Sometimes damage can't be avoided, and sometimes the project being built is important enough that damage to a historic resource is a trade-off that we choose to make. The NHPA allows for that, but we should at least check before we do irreversible damage to our national heritage. We can and must build the energy infrastructure our economy and our climate need, while also preserving our history and our heritage. We can do both. Our kids and our grandkids deserve to know where they come from, and we can't tell the story of our nation without protecting the places that literally tell those stories. Sometimes those places are a historic building or a historic district. Sometimes those places are a valley or a mesa or a mountain. In my state of New Mexico, Mount Taylor dominates the horizon of central and western New Mexico, rising 5,000 feet from the desert below to a peak of above 11,000 feet. It is visible from nearly 100 miles away, and it is sacred to at least 8 tribes in New Mexico and Arizona. Mount Taylor and its surrounding mesas are a traditional cultural property, and the impact of development on it should be carefully considered before permits are issued. And that's what the National Historic Preservation Act requires. Without the NHPA, federal agencies could allow new development on this mountain without ever considering its impact on the religious practices, the traditions of neighboring tribal communities. Mount Taylor is listed on the State Register of Historic Places as a traditional cultural property, and that means that projects there get more scrutiny than other places in our state. But that's as it should be, because of the significance of Mount Taylor to communities across our state. There's no perfect law on the books, and we should always look for ways to make processes like Section 106 consultation more efficient and more effective. I'm confident we can do that while also protecting the places, even the stories that have forged our national heritage. I'm equally confident we can't do any of this without staff at the agencies that process permits for projects on federal lands. Our public land agencies have already lost more than 20% of their staff to early retirements, buyouts, and we're expecting layoffs at the land management agencies in the coming weeks that will make this even worse. It doesn't matter what kind of permit you're looking for, whether it's oil or gas or grazing or road construction or recreation. If the desk your permit application has landed on doesn't have a human behind it, you're not going to get your permit. We can tweak and reform laws all we want, but fundamentally, until we have adequate staff at the agencies that process permits, we will continue to see frustratingly long permitting times. And as I have said a number of times now, we can't do permitting reform if the administration persists in ignoring the fundamental laws. That's just as true for Section 106 agreements as it is for oil and gas permits. We absolutely have to fix these issues alongside process improvements if we're serious about permitting reform. And finally, I would point out that there are 3 buildings in this city that the National Historic Preservation Act does not apply to: the Capitol, the Supreme Court, and the White House. And we've all seen what is going on at the White House right now to our house. I look forward to hearing from today's witnesses about these issues, and I'm incredibly pleased to introduce Mr. Stephen Koncho from Acoma, Pueblo, New Mexico. Mr. Koncho is a member of the Pueblo of Acoma located in the western part of our state. He has served for nearly 15 years now in the Pueblo's Office of Historic Preservation, including the past 5 years as the Pueblo's Tribal Historic Preservation Officer, or TIPO. Mr. Koncho also represents the Four Corners region on the Board of Directors for the National Association of Tribal Historic Preservation Officers, where he advocates for the protection of tribal cultural heritage and the advancement of tribal preservation programs nationwide. In his role as TIPO, Mr. Koncho is dedicated to ensuring the protection, preservation, and continued vitality of Acamu's ancestral lands and the broader Acoma cultural province for future generations. His work emphasizes both safeguarding sacred places and promoting meaningful tribal participation in federal and state preservation processes. He's passionate about community education, strives to inspire younger generations to pursue careers in archaeology, anthropology, and cultural resource management, ensuring that the work of preservation continues under future Acoma leaders. Welcome, Mr. Koncho, and thank you to all of our witnesses for lending us your expertise this morning on this incredibly salient topic.